As we go on the air at 4, we are following breaking news. New information about gunfire at a trunk-or-treat event in Kirkwood. We've learned the man suspected of firing shots into the air yesterday is a St. Louis County police officer and the son of the former St. Louis County prosecutor. Charges against Matthew McCullough have just been announced. He faces 11 felony charges that include endangering the welfare of a child, armed criminal action, and making a terrorist threat. The police department says McCullough is currently on administrative leave. The event for Tillman Elementary students happened at North Kirkwood Middle School yesterday evening. Police say parents at the event quickly tackled McCullough and held him until police arrived. No one was injured. The suspect's father, Bob McCullough, served as St. Louis County's prosecutor for 28 years. Right now, Israel is amassing tanks and jets along the Israeli-Gaza border, but so far they haven't moved into Gaza. Both sides are denying reports they reached a ceasefire agreement that would allow foreign national Palestinians to evacuate or let aid in. Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Kay Quinn. At Gaza's southern border, hundreds of people are desperate for a path out of the war zone. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is reaffirming U.S. support and trying to find a way to rescue hostages. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest.
Growing crowds, growing desperation at the still closed Rafah border crossing from Gaza into Egypt. Palestinian civilians with foreign passports, including hundreds of Americans, waiting for the gates to open to get out of the war zone and allow aid to flow in.
The patients are screaming in pain. There is nothing to alleviate their suffering. And so to bring in the humanitarian supplies, obviously water is a huge issue as well.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken returning to Israel, pressing for relief for Gaza's humanitarian crisis while reaffirming U.S. support.
You know our deep commitment to Israel's right, indeed its obligation, to defend itself and to defend its people.
The Israeli military has troops massed at the border but has not yet launched a ground invasion after warning civilians to get out of northern Gaza and amid negotiations to free roughly 200 hostages Hamas militants took from Israel into Gaza in their brutal terror attack. The International Red Cross in direct talks with Hamas.
We're demanding the immediate release of these hostages. And also access so we can check on their well-being.
While here at home, the head of the FBI warned of a rise in anti-Semitic and other violent extremism. Ceasefire now! As today, hundreds of Jewish Americans and allies marched to the White House calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and praying for peace. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
This 71-year-old man is charged with murder and a hate crime. Joseph Chuba is accused of stabbing a 6-year-old boy and his mother because of their Islamic faith and the Israel-Hamas war. Deputies found the woman and child Saturday morning at a home southwest of Chicago. The little boy died. The woman is expected to survive. The sheriff's office says she ran into a bathroom and kept fighting him off. Investigators say Chuba is their landlord. The boy is identified as Wadea Al-Fayoume. His Palestinian family held a funeral for him this afternoon. The elementary school student celebrated his birthday just a couple of weeks ago. The Justice Department says it's opened a hate crime investigation into the attack. A professor at Washington University is being criticized after a social media post about the war in Israel. 5 on Your Side's Holden Kerwicki has been looking into the post. He joins us now live in studio with the very latest. Holden?
Okay, WashU has removed Professor Seth Crosby's biography from its website. But despite conflicting reports that Crosby had been fired, a university spokesperson told me that he is still employed by the university. Friday morning, Crosby replied to a tweet accusing Israel of ethnic cleansing of Palestinians by saying it is a much-needed cleansing, yes, but not an ethnic one. Israel is not targeting humans. Saturday, Crosby apologized for what he called clumsy words, adding that Israel is targeting Hamas, an organization that has taken the lives of thousands of Israeli citizens, adding he didn't intend to imply the death of Palestinian people was in any way acceptable. Today, I spoke with multiple Muslim groups to get their take on the situation.
You see this type of dehumanization happening, that these people are animals, and it makes people For us as Muslim Americans, we've been losing sleep at night.
I do feel the school is protecting him, and I feel that with Washington University protecting him, they are taking a stance and making a statement in itself. And we are not going to leave the situation alone.
Both CARE Missouri and the American Muslims for Palestine told me they would be willing to sit down with Professor Crosby, either privately or publicly, and discuss his position on his tweets. I'll have more on this story coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. Kay?
All right, thank you, Holden. Much cooler today, but we saw the sun. Let's take a live look outside. Meteorologist Gary Frank is in the Weather Center. He has the weather first forecast on this Monday. Gary?
Yeah, sunny but cooler. You know, at least it was working our way out of that pattern from the weekend where the clouds hung tough and we had rain off and on. As we look at St. Charles, hard to find a cloud in the sky, and that's what we're transitioning to in this pattern for at least the next couple of days. I'll show you why we had those clouds in the sky and they hung tough yesterday. You can still see that northerly flow and those showers, all part of that big piece of energy that impacted us over the weekend. But we're kind of on the tail edge of this now. You've been hanging with more cloud cover on the Metro East side than the Missouri side today, and that's almost gone. We're going to clear out nicely, and temperatures have actually warmed up at a decent bit. You know, a little bit better. 64, we've gotten up to 65 today. Our average high right now is about 69, so not all that bad, but that north-northwest breeze at 9 miles an hour is a little chilly. So for this evening, we are going to drop down into the 40s, but looking ahead over the next few days, what's in store? We've got another chilly night in store for us tonight, and what's new is we've got rain chances that are going to be slightly earlier than over the last 24 hours. And then down the road, when's our first frost and freeze? When should we be there? We'll look ahead to what we experienced in the last few years and what we can experience the rest of the month.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you, Gary. A single car crash in Washington County leaves a 10-year-old girl dead. 3 other children were injured. The crash happened this morning on Highway 21 near Potosi. The Missouri Highway Patrol says the driver took a curve too fast, lost control of the car, and hit a tree. We're told they were on their way to school. No names have been released. A man faces charges today accused of shooting 3 people in Pacific. Police say Quentin Howard shot 2 women and a 3-year-old boy Saturday night and then took off. Police found 2 victims at a house on Columbus Street and a 3rd person at a home on Central Street. The 3 victims are being treated at a hospital. Investigators say Howard knew them. They arrested him after he crashed his vehicle near Eureka. Still ahead, the head of Ford makes a plea to the UAW saying it's jeopardizing the future of American automakers, who he says is actually benefiting from the ongoing strike. And a judge silences Donald Trump, what a gag order means in one of the federal cases against him.